Hi, Chris from Intentional here. One of the things I wanted to share on that we've noticed across the board is the trends that have been, I guess, originated with direct-to-consumer brands, particularly those around the 100-night trial free that the mattress companies have offered. Obviously started with Casper in the States and more commonly known here from Koala. But that 100-night free trial, while it feels like, okay, well, that's fine for bedding because they're trying to disrupt and interrupt a old sort of way of doing things with buying a bed with how can you really tell what your bed's like from a couple of minutes in a store. So it makes sense. But 100 nights is a super generous amount of time. And what it does do for people who now wanting to buy high-priced items is to say, well, actually, this is what I expect if I'm going to invest in something that is a bit different to buy online. Maybe not even if it is different. If it's something that I'm going to buy and it's a high-priced ticket item, that's what I would come to expect. So then we see that model replicated from the disruptors in the luggage market. So Away and now July locally here in Melbourne are doing the same. There's a 100-day trial on luggage. So I'm not sure exactly how it works with luggage. It's obviously much more likely to get damaged than a mattress, but it's that same idea. So even though they're not competing in the same market, it's a mattress and a suitcase. The actual concept or the buyer is getting trained and groomed by those mattress disruptors to say, well, this is what you should expect. And so now we move into luggage. And so now when you're offering your free 30-day money back, when you're offering returns for damage but not change of mind, when you're putting all these restrictions because that's what your direct competitors or that's what your industry does, it might feel right, but actually the standards you're trying to compete against are not just the people next to you and your competitors. You actually need to start looking about, well, what are our customer standards? What are they expecting to see? One of the interesting ones with luggage is the inclusion of monogramming, so personalisation. So yeah, cool, it makes sense with high-priced ticket items, makes sense with leather goods, but is this actually what people are going to expect more and more on the consumer goods that they're buying? If they're buying pens, if they're buying stationery, if they're buying things that are personal to them in the way that they're choosing, and you're not offering personalisation, is that actually, below what their standards are now? No one else in your category might be doing that, but that doesn't mean that's not the customer standard. I think a really interesting one with fashion and e-commerce is particularly around delivery. So we kind of applaud the Iconic for being able to offer same-day delivery, and it truly is amazing. And even some of the stuff that I've been reading in recent weeks is incredible about what they're going to be able to do. But then you think in a recent retail innovation talk at Google, guy talks about the disruption to the food delivery market. And that kind of opens up the thought of like, why can my burger get to me within 30 minutes of ordering, but my shirt at best case, absolute best case, will take 3 hours. Standard is probably going to be at least 1 or 2 days, or for a lot of brands, that could be up to 7 to 10 days. So if you're a fashion company, you're looking at other fashion companies, you'd say, yeah, well, everyone takes about this time. We all use AusPost, that's fine. But then I compare to, I guess, what people are starting to see is the expectation with just how long something should take to get delivered, and why can't someone jump on a Vespa and get my scooter and get me my, Uniqlo order the next day or that day? Why can't I get it in 1 hour? And so I think this really interesting concept that we fall into the trap of looking at what the people next to us, or what are just the common standards in our industry, but it's actually what are the wider standards that could be impacting your brand. I think about that for Intentional in terms of, compared to most other agencies and service businesses, we get back, I think, a lot faster. We take a lot more care in our communication than others as well. We really pride ourselves in that. But if I compare our response times and our level of service to a software as service company, well, there's a lot lacking. So, what are my customers actually expecting from us? So just a thought for today, I think that idea of standards, particularly around e-commerce and fashion, is really disruptive as to what do your customers actually expect, particularly gig economy and these direct-to-consumer disruptors is really impacting, what that actually looks like for you today.